Part 1, Chapter 7, The Hidden Power of Silence, Silence. A word so simple yet so powerful that it can change the direction of a life, a relationship, even a destiny. In a world that never stops talking, where every second someone posts, debates, or argues, the one who learns the art of silence becomes a master of clarity, depth, and wisdom. It is said, silence is the ornament of the wise, but silence is not just the absence of words. It is the presence of understanding. It is not weakness, and it is control, and it is not emptiness, and it is awareness. Think of a great leader in a meeting. While others rush to speak, he listens quietly. His silence is not hesitation. It's calculation. He observes every tone, every expression, every hidden meaning. And when he finally speaks, his words carry the weight of truth. That is the balance of intelligence and silence, science. 2 confirms what ancient wisdom taught centuries. Neuroscientists at the University of Pavia found that 2 minutes of silence can lower blood pressure, calm the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, and increase focus. Your brain actually grows new neural pathways when you sit quietly and reflect. Silence doesn't just relax you, it strengthens your thinking power. Hazrat Ali, R.A., said, "When you speak, your words become your slaves. When you remain silent, you are their master. Each word you release becomes a servant. It can either build your image or destroy it. When you control speech, you control your destiny." Now imagine the opposite, a person who talks all the time. He speaks in every discussion, interrupts others, explains everything without being asked. At first, people listen politely, but slowly his words lose meaning. Like cheap perfume, the scent fades with overuse. Soon people start to tune him out. That's the tragedy of imbalance, when speech exceeds silence. In professional life, this imbalance shows up too. A salesman who keeps talking never hears what the customer actually needs. A doctor who doesn't listen misses the real cause of illness. A teacher who keeps lecturing without dialogue turns students into bored note-takers instead of thinkers. Even a motivational speaker who never listens to feedback stops growing. Real communication is a dance and a rhythm between speaking and listening, between expression and absorption. When you listen fully, you don't just hear words, you hear emotions, fears, and dreams behind them. And when you speak wisely, your words echo far beyond your voice. A Japanese proverb says, "When you talk, you only repeat what you already know. When you listen, you may learn something new." Silence, therefore, is not passive. It's the greatest act of intelligence. In every social or professional setting, silence gives you power. When you meet new people, stay quiet for the first 10 minutes, observe tone, posture, and energy. When emotions rise in a conflict, hold your tongue. Silence can save you from regret. When opportunity comes, choose your words with surgical precision. Each sentence should be like gold, not gravel. But balance doesn't mean suppressing your voice. Silence alone is not the answer. A person who never speaks becomes invisible, unheard, unnoticed. Just as too much talking is noise, too much silence becomes emptiness. The wise walk the middle path. They know when to stay silent and when to speak. This is not luck, it's discipline. And that discipline is the foundation of success. Modern psychology agrees. Studies on emotional intelligence, EQ, show that people who pause before responding, even for 3 seconds, and are rated 40% higher in empathy and leadership by peers. That short pause, that micro-silence, allows the emotional wave to settle and reason to speak. In relationships, this simple act can prevent endless arguments. In business, it can seal million-dollar deals. In parenting, it can transform communication from authority to understanding, because silence creates space, and in that space, truth is born. Let's take an example. In 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, U.S. President John F. Kennedy received a threatening letter from the Soviet leader Khrushchev. His generals urged him to respond immediately with power, but Kennedy paused. He waited, listening, analyzing, and reading between the lines. That silence gave him the time to craft a balanced reply that avoided nuclear war. That one moment of silence saved millions of lives. So when people say, silence has no voice, remember, silence can stop wars. It can repair hearts. It can elevate you above the crowd. In this noisy world, silence is the new luxury. It's where wisdom grows, dignity lives, and success begins. Train yourself to value moments of quiet. Don't rush to fill every gap with words. Because sometimes, the most powerful sound is no sound at all. Chapter 7, Part 2, The Balance of Expression, Finding Your Voice Through Silence. There is a time to listen, a time to speak, and a time to simply be. Those who understand this rhythm move through life with grace and intelligence. Those who don't stumble between regret and misunderstanding. The modern world worships expression. Every thought is a post, every feeling a tweet, but rarely do we stop to absorb. We've learned to broadcast, not to connect. The balance between silence and speech is what reconnects us with humanity. Let's begin with listening, not hearing, but deep listening. Listening means being fully present without judging or preparing your reply. It means catching not just what is said, but what is meant. When you truly listen to someone, you give them something rare, attention, and attention is love in motion. Psychologists say that in most conversations, 80% of people listen only to reply, not to understand. But those who master listening, leaders, counselors, parents, are the ones who heal others through empathy. In business, the best negotiators are not the best talkers. They're the best listeners. They read tone, silence, hesitation, the language behind words. In therapy, silence often helps the patient say what they were afraid to say. In relationships, silence becomes the bridge between two hearts when words fail. Silence also refines speech. It teaches you to speak less, but with purpose. Your words then become like arrows and precise. Necessary, powerful. Great thinkers, from Socrates to Confucius. From Rumi to Einstein, all valued silence as the origin of clarity. Einstein once said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." It was in silence that he saw the theory of relativity. Not in noise, even in Islam. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him speak good or remain silent." This golden rule shows that silence is not absence, it's restraint guided by wisdom. Every word you speak writes a line in the story of your life. Make sure it's worth reading. Let's apply this balance practically. When you're angry, stay silent first, speak later. When you're happy, speak carefully, because joy can slip into arrogance. When you're sad, speak wisely, because words said in pain echo far. In teaching, and speak to inspire, but listen to grow. In leadership, speak to guide, but listen to understand. In relationships, speak to connect, not to control. There's a beautiful parallel in nature. A river makes sound only when it meets resistance, rocks and turns. The deeper the water, the quieter it flows. Likewise, the deeper the soul, the quieter the tongue. Silence builds character. It makes you a mystery in a world desperate for attention. It gives your personality, gravity. People feel peace when they sit beside you. You don't have to shout to be heard. Your calmness speaks louder than any word. Modern studies on communication show that people who pause before speaking are seen as 35% more trustworthy. Why? Because silence signals thought. It tells the listener, "I'm not reacting. I'm responding." That's the mark of maturity. But remember, silence is not hiding. It is preparation. It is charging your mind before your next step. Every moment of silence adds weight to your next sentence. That's why the wise are often quiet. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they are perfecting what to say. So as you listen to this, reflect on your own balance. How often do you speak without purpose? How often do you stay silent when your words could heal? Balance is not about staying in the middle. It's about choosing the right side at the right time. Speak with intention, listen with love, and let silence be your wisdom's partner. In the end, remember this rule for life. When words are many, truth is lost. When silence is balanced, hearts connect. And when both serve each other, success, peace, and dignity follow naturally. That is the true balance of words and silence, the secret language of intelligence, maturity, and timeless success. The balance of expression, finding your voice through silence. There is a time to listen, a time to speak, and a time to simply be. Those who understand this rhythm move through life with grace, wisdom, and clarity. Those who don't spend their lives stumbling between regret and misunderstanding. In today's world, noise is constant. Everyone is speaking, but few are truly listening. Social media has made opinions louder but hearts emptier. Every second, someone argues, explains, or reacts. But silence has become rare and therefore precious. Yet silence is not withdrawal. It's not the absence of communication. It's the highest form of it. It is where emotions settle and truth begins to whisper. Silence is not weakness, it is self-control wrapped in peace.
Let's begin with listening, not just hearing, but deep listening. Listening means being fully present without judging or preparing your reply. It means absorbing what is said and also what is left unsaid. When you listen with your heart, people feel it, and that feeling creates trust, comfort, and connection. Psychologists say that most people listen only to reply, not to understand. But those who truly listen heal relationships, lead wisely, and inspire loyalty. In business, the best negotiators are rarely the loudest talkers. They are the calmest listeners. They read tone, hesitation, and silence, the language behind words. Silence tells more truths than speech ever can. In relationships, silence also has a heartbeat. Sometimes two people sit together, saying nothing, and yet understanding everything. That is the magic of balance, where silence speaks love, not distance. Silence also refines speech. It sharpens your words like a blade. It teaches you to speak less but say more. Your words then become like arrows, precise, necessary, and powerful. Great thinkers throughout history have praised silence. Socrates, Confucius, Buddha, Rumiol agreed that wisdom begins where noise ends. Einstein once said, "The monotony and solitude of a quiet life stimulates the creative mind." In silence, he saw what others could not see, the invisible patterns of the universe. Even faith teaches this principle. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let him speak good or remain silent." Each word you utter writes a line in your destiny. So write it with care, not with impulse. In every situation, silence gives you a chance to choose wisely. When you are angry, stay silent first and speak later. When you are excited, speak carefully, because joy can easily turn into arrogance. When you are hurt, speak calmly, not emotionally, because once released, words cannot be taken back. This is the art of balance. In teaching, speak to inspire but listen to learn. In leadership, speak to guide but listen to understand. In relationships, speak to connect, not to control. Nature reflects this truth beautifully. A river makes sound only when it meets resistance, rocks, bends, and edges. The deeper the water, the quieter it flows. Likewise, the deeper the soul, the quieter the tongue. Silence builds character. It gives your personality gravity. People feel peace when they sit beside you, even without words. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your calmness speaks louder than any volume. Modern studies confirm this ancient wisdom. Communication experts found that people who pause before responding are seen as more trustworthy. Why? Because silence signals thought. It tells the listener that you are not reacting, you are reflecting. That is the mark of maturity. But silence is not hiding. It is preparation. It is like a seed under the soil unseen, but full of potential. Every quiet moment builds strength for your next move. So train yourself to pause before every conversation. Breathe before replying. Listen before judging. Understand before advising. This discipline turns ordinary talk into meaningful communication. In Japan, there is a word, ma, which means the space between. It refers to the pause that gives meaning to sound. Just like music without silence between notes, there is no melody. In life too, without silence between words, there is no wisdom. Silence adds depth. It transforms ordinary words into powerful messages. It turns arguments into understanding and chaos into clarity. So reflect for a moment. How often do you speak without purpose? How often do you stay silent when your words could heal? Balance is not about avoiding one side. It's about choosing the right side at the right time. Speak with intention. Listen with compassion. Let silence be your partner in wisdom. Because silence is not the opposite of speech, it is its foundation. When words are too many, truth is lost. When silence is too long, connection fades. But when both work together, hearts open, trust builds, and wisdom grows. That is the balance of words and silence, the hidden code of intelligence, dignity, and timeless success. In a world full of noise, be the calm voice, be a quiet thinker, be the one whose silence speaks louder than words. This is the power of balance. This is the art of being wise.
Hello, my friend. My name is James Abra, the author of The Balance, a book born from over 40 years of real-life experience and observation. This is not just a story. It's a reflection of what I have learned about life, time, purpose, and human balance. Every chapter of this audiobook brings you closer to one timeless truth, that peace and progress are not opposites, but two sides of the same balance. If these words connect with you, then I invite you to explore more chapters of The Balance. Each one carries a piece of wisdom, sometimes emotional, sometimes practical, but always meant to guide you back to your center. Remember, this is not about changing your life overnight. It's about realizing the power of balance within every decision, every relationship, and every dream. After listening, if you wish to read the full book or keep it with you, you can find the official link in the description below. Thank you for being here, and may your journey toward balance never stop.